I'm just going to press. Right, we've started. That's it. We're in. Welcome back, guys,
All
to
right.
Swolemates. And we have a guest this week. Obviously, we just had a little pre-chat before we press play. But Ryan, if you want to give a little intro to yourself for anyone who doesn't know who you are.
I wasn't prepared for the intro. I am Ryan. I am a coach of Physique Collective. I've been bodybuilding way longer than probably anybody on this podcast, like 11 years training or something like this. Um, and we've just been talking to everything possible wrong for like the start of my career when it's still very, very early. But as a result, I think I've experienced a lot to carry over to my clients and stuff like that. I've been Physique Collective maybe 5 years now. I've been a posing coach as well for the past 6 or 7. Um, yeah, man, just an old fart, really. Been around the block a bit.
Love it. That is. I feel like when you get further and further in bodybuilding, that is the end point, right? Is the coach, like the high profile, like the good coach who's got all the experience from all the dumb shit they've done as well, and it like translates, and then you know where to sort of put your clients and what to dodge. But yeah, so what's your current situation now? So you're obviously still obviously Physique Collective, and then we were just discussing obviously
Yep.
potentially competing in future. What's sort of your plan? What's the
So I had probably the best season I've ever had in 23. Even that feels like it's flown by. I won the Midlands. I come third at finals. Um, hit a two-bro show. Did the France Pro Qual. I think I come seventh in the France Pro Qual. So it's just like it's very apparent that I was 180 on stage. I'm allowed to be 194. So it's like, okay, rule number one, don't get back on stage until you're 194 on stage. Um, then through the back end of last year, just ran into some issues like pushing up and stuff like that, and then as a result, just pretty much downsized exactly like an old retired fart would on old man TRT. So we're doing a quick little appetite reset now. We're finally back on. Everything's cool. And then I'm just going to see what I weigh in like May, June time and see because I'd like to do the Denmark show. I did Denmark show with a client last year and it was a really, really good show. It's like mid-November. So it would mean I have to hit like a two bros regional up pretty fat in like September or something. And then roll through. But yeah, there's no pressure on it really. I want to get on stage knowing that like, yeah, okay, you're not going to be outsized. You're going to be pretty close to the market.
love that? Yeah, I mean that's the thing with a lot of like, because you've got a quality physique, obviously, but there is that size factor. Even with myself, like I'm going into now because I've been in juniors up
Yeah.
until this season. This is my first senior like season where I'm going to be in weight classes and whatnot. So realistically, I'm also going to be in like tall slash heavy, whatever you want to call it. And realistically, most of those guys are probably going to have like 5, 6, 7, 8 pounds on me easily, and that matters a lot on stage, like visually.
Yeah. I noticed like it wasn't when I posed and everything kind of come to life. It's when I saw the videos and I'm just like walking into the lineup next to people and in between the call outs, like yeah, there's a big gap there with people there.
Yeah, that's exactly the same when I was on stage last time. But especially in the two bro show, you can see the difference when you're backstage. Is oh shit.
You'll see like a photo of like your rear double or something. You're like, I actually beat him in this shot. But then you see the video of the whole thing. You're like, oh no, I didn't even. I didn't
Yeah,
catch it.
yeah,
But it's
exactly.
okay.
Joe, you've
Hello,
obviously
how
just
are we?
he's still waking up. He's got his
No,
coffee.
no, I'm here. I'm here. This is water, actually.
Is it?
Water in a mug. How fucking disgraceful, I know.
Joe has been ill over the past like 3, 4 days because he was going to come down
Yeah,
somewhat in person, but yeah, no, how are you feeling, Joe? You feeling all right?
yeah, much better. You can probably still tell from my voice a little bit. It's a bit not great, but no, I'm good. I'm good. It's been a slow week in terms of what I've actually managed to do in person and stuff with people, but it's been pretty good. It's been all right. I'm on the mend now anyway. Nothing serious, just shitty virus. So, but yeah, I'm good now. I'm good. I'm good. Ready to train again tomorrow. So, yeah.
I'm so happy that you now that you are like mostly fine. I'm happy you didn't come down, mate. I'm happy you didn't.
hmm
I could not
hmm
imagine
hmm
getting ill while dieting. I couldn't
No,
imagine.
that's the thing. I didn't want to. I could have come. I wanted to come, but I could have trained, but it would have been shit, and I'd have felt like shit. And then you'd have been probably ill prior to your trip. So I was like, no, there's just no point. We can just do it at a different time.
Straight at the
So
start of the prep.
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
That's actually a good question because obviously I'm going away to Japan obviously in March. What that's a question for you, Ryan. What are some considerations while traveling and prepping? That's a good question for you.
Rule number one for everybody, get an Airbnb. Don't like it. One, it's probably cheaper than a hotel. Two, you can get just plan out like what, not only where the nearest gym is, just have a look on Street Views and see what shops are around. Like research what you're doing first, because then you'll at least land and know roughly what you're gonna do with your day. Or if shit hits the fan, what can I do? What can I sub? What can I eat? Um, I've never been to Japan. I can't, like, I imagine there's going to be like a lot available for you choice-wise food, but there's places like, oh God, even when I went to Romania for Mike's show last year, I think it was September. Bro, the shops are nothing but cured meats and cheese. You're like, oh, fuck me. You didn't realize that you're like a
Probably fat
30-minute
loads.
taxi ride away from an actual proper supermarket. And even then it's limited. Like it just, if I was on prep, it would have just been like panic mode. So just like, yeah, rule number one, just plan ahead.
Yeah, I think luckily for me, from what I know, based on what people said to me, it's going to be mostly fish, rice, meat, vegetables. So I think I'm going to be fine. I think it shouldn't be too bad, even when I move about a bit. But yeah, it's that's the thing. It's my first time actually being on the road or traveling while prepping. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. I'm sure it'll be its own learning curve.
To be fair, it's easily done if you're still like mid prep or something and your food's still high. It's if you're getting punished and it's got to be very specific and nothing can be subbed, then you're like, it's not.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's relatively early, and also I've done a pre-prep diet, so shouldn't be too bad. Shouldn't be too bad. But yeah. Derek, what any news this week?
Any
Anything
news
you
this
cover up?
week?
Yeah,
I like in terms for myself,
yeah. From you,
while we're talking about bodybuilding news. Okay, for me, second week of the push-up, I've went from what at the beginning of the push-up was 95. Now I'm at 100, and somehow I'm looking leaner. That is a bit crazy. Uh, yeah, and I don't know. I'm very tempted to start prepping. Well, I'll do a prep this year. Is just yeah, just like because I just moved moved to London last at the end of last year, so I kind of wanted to like settle down for a bit first. So we'll see how things goes.
What did you do to put 5 kilos on?
growth hormone.
Well,
Yeah,
we all
growth
want to know.
hormone.
That's what the listeners watching want to know.
Yeah, so so like from the past 2 years, I realized I don't really respond very well with testosterone,
Yeah.
and went straight back down to like 150 tests. But try a little bit MPP right now, 300 MPP, 400 Masteron, and 3.33 GH every single day. And yes, blowing up.
Wait, is that Farmer GH?
No, it's Delphi.
To be fair, the Adelphi knows body.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, it's pretty good.
we were saying that in
So
the group chat the other day. We are like, what the fuck have you? What like unicorn vial have you found like that you've been given to blow up?
I think the big thing though for Derek, me and Derek, we take the piss out of each other with this, but your approach to training has changed
yeah,
drastically in the
yeah,
past
that too.
6 months, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm really enjoying it now. I think like at the beginning, like most bros train like that, but like where in most people's like career at the beginning, you don't really feel your muscle properly. Now I know how to feel it, and it's great. It feels great.
what have you been doing?
And
Just like kind of lower volume stuff, or
no, it's be more like quote unquote old school training, like more explosives, like more compound stuff. Do a little bit less like science based stuff. Yeah, quote unquote science based. Yeah.
That's gonna piss
Uh,
someone off.
Mate, Tim always says to me, "He's like, you're the least physique collective member."
I love that. I'm somewhat the same though, where like even with my own clients, I'm like, do as I say, not as I do a lot of the time because I know it's like actively you should push, but I have like an expectation as well that with some of the clients that I have now who are like going to be doing first timers or juniors next year, I expect them to be a little bit of a dickhead with training
Mm,
and throw some heavy shit around because obviously when you're like 20, 21 years old, you're going to be in that like headspace where you're going to want to do that. So it
yeah.
almost feels like it's more of a case of just making sure they can recover as opposed to trying to dial them back on any training like that. Yeah, it's a funny one. It's a funny one. I
Also,
think
I think it's like it's a trade-off, right? It's like if someone's doing super slow negatives, like how much fatigue is that building up versus a small amount of body English and another actual contraction of the muscle under a heavy
Mhm.
load changing direction. So it's just being tidy on form is just like, okay, well, what can we measure so I know how many reps I got for next week?
Yeah.
Like it's as
Yeah.
long as it's like injury provoking and like it is causing stress and it can be recovered from it, then yeah, by all means, swing them. Girls in
Yeah.
the squat rack.
I had it actually this past week with a client who, because this is a thing I notice with like, and obviously it's a thing when you're like younger, when you're first like in the first couple of years potentially of like bodybuilding, just throws 15 kilo on each side of a bar by accident, like as a progression, and then matches reps. No
Yeah.
rhyme or reason to that, but like that's just something I've noticed a couple of times now that sort of like
Yeah.
these 20-year-olds
Yeah.
can do. And I'm like, fuck, I could never do that again. Never again.
There's that's something I've definitely noticed. Like even this last year, like I turned 30 this last year, and everything that old people get just hits you. Like your shoulder hurts when pressing. Why the fuck is my shoulder just hurting when pressing? I don't even know. I'm not doing anything. It's just like yeah. But I've noticed that I've had to actually adopt micro loading because I usually never would, and I don't usually care too much about the crossover of okay, I'm slightly under that rep range, or actually I'm over that rep range, and focusing so much on the incremental weight. But I've found that like yeah, it's got to be more consistently like precise. Is it the words to go through? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not as fun anymore.
That I will say that's something even for mate, I'm 25 and I feel that. Like I had it yesterday where oh no, it was a couple of weeks back. And then also yesterday where I woke up yesterday having mildly pulled my back in my sleep.
Oh
How the
yeah.
fuck does that happen? And then 3 weeks ago, I also like mildly pulled my lower back, tying my shoelaces. Now, obviously, I'm getting
Yeah.
physio and there's something else going on there, but it's like that would not have happened ever
No,
when I
never.
was
No.
like 22, 23. Just wasn't an issue.
Yeah, there's also another little change in terms of my training. Obviously, I want to like improve my back. That's like most other Chinese bodybuilder. Um, Now instead of having a quite set plan, like rotation, blah blah blah, I kind of just like whenever my back is not sore, not tired, not fatigued, I'm gonna train it, and
Mm,
then next day I'll do something else.
wild.
And then as soon as my back is not fatigued again, I'm gonna go back to it.
Yeah.
What is your like frequency now, Derek, then per week?
Probably like 2 to 3 times a week
Wow.
for the back. Depends on like how like on the day, like how much volume I'm like pushing it. But obviously, if I'm doing a little bit more sets, I'll probably get a little more fatigue for a bit longer. It's kind of like yeah, it's not quite okay. Set plan doing this for a bit, and then change it up and stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, crazy shit. Couldn't do that. I would absolutely struggle.
I mean, I'm only doing it because like now I'm on GH.
Love that.
Is it the first time you've ran it? Is that why?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's...
first time on it, so like fuck it.
Did you say 3.3 mix as well a day? A
Are
day?
you? Yeah, yeah.
Do you mean are you or Mig?
Are you? Are you?
Oh, I was gonna say because
No,
there's 3.3
not
and
me.
a whole day. I was
Not
like,
me.
no, no, no.
Not me. My finger will be just so fucking swollen straight away.
Well, that explains why I put 5 kilo on in a week.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Right, should we get on to a little bit of news? Actually, feels like it transfers quite well over. We put in the group chat, obviously Derek put in the group chat, fucking the whole Sam Sulek thing. Obviously, he competed over the weekend for the first time, and people are either glazed the fuck out of this guy on one end and think he's the best thing ever, or they say he's shit now that he's been on stage. I think neither end's really fair, but I thought you think it'd be interested to just have a look and see what
Well,
your
there's two
opinion is.
great presentation posing coaches here, so let's
Yeah,
analyze.
it's actually
Let's analyze some muscles.
yeah, let me just get it up.
All of the videos of him from last night were awful. It's taken from
Yeah,
so far back in the crowd. And
yeah.
I think it was Lou Marco put one on this morning, and it was a
There's
close up.
yeah, I
Look,
sent a
Marco,
video into the group. It's in
Yeah, I've
HD.
just got it.
YouTube videos. It's in HD. It's about 15 minutes long.
Let me open that up for us. 1 second. 1 second.
I think it just looked like he was kind of flat, like just did it himself. Do you get what I mean? Like
Yep.
himself, just listened online where it says cut some water, don't have salt or something like that. It didn't look, it just looked like he weren't like shrink wrapped and full.
Yeah.
He weren't
Yeah.
like necessarily out of shape. He didn't flex anything, that didn't help him.
Yeah, especially the quads.
Yeah.
He
And the
was,
glutes in the rear.
he wasn't
Yeah.
posing from his feet up, clearly.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the front legs is just standing there.
Say what you see, bro.
Yeah.
See if we could get yeah, let's get it in some decent quality.
Oh yeah.
Crispy. See, that looks pretty good. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's not
Yeah.
like he's not in shape.
And
No.
look at the big screen of him as well, not next to
Yeah.
him.
The angle looks better on it.
Like the back is nuts. The back is
Yeah.
actually kind of nuts. The development.
Oh,
And
he
his
needs to
hamstrings,
pull his trunks a bit higher.
Yeah.
He's not like terribly out of shape. He's not
No.
blue at all.
I mean, I think like he obviously for his lower body, he's probably just not tensing anything quite right. His hamstrings probably he can show his hamstring, but he don't know how to.
I do wonder if from the front his legs are like almost too developed for his upper body if he were to hit the pose right. Because it's not like when he stood there just doing the poses, his legs look small. He's just posing wrong.
I do think he needs to bring them up more
Do you?
because
Well,
his
yeah.
top line is like so dense.
From behind, I think arguably, yeah, it's very telling. Very, very telling. Let me just skip through this guy in the lineup because I've not actually seen him in the lineup.
I mean, the lineup's not great.
No, he did actually destroy everybody in the lineup. I mean, that's the overall.
Yeah.
Or is that his high class?
I think this is the overall. I think this is the classic overall.
This is classic. No.
Yeah, he's doing classic.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. I thought he was. I thought maybe he's doing 2 classes or he's split classes.
No, it's just the classic.
Fucking A. All right then. Get Jack Kinsey Clough up there. See how that goes down. See how the judging changes.
I mean, I would say his best pose is the side chest.
Yeah.
The lower back is wild.
So the thing is, if like he's in shape, right? It's just the last couple tweaks over probably the past 3-4 days that may have led to him looking worse than he did a couple of days ago. But he just looks flat to me.
Anyone who's listening / watching who knows if he's mentioned what his actual plan for peak week or anything was, let us know, because I'd be quite curious to see if he had a plan at all, or if he was just like, fuck it, burger and fries, full send, and then just got.
I think he was just eating like white fish and rice cakes and not salt and shit. But I think if he had a burger and fries, I think he'd look probably tremendously better.
Yeah.
I know he was contemplating whether he was going to do classic or the bodybuilding class. So I'm guessing he tried to get down to the weight class, and in doing so, didn't have the opportunity to really fill out. But it's not bad if I had a client who came into a show, their first ever show, and they were in that level of condition, not the peak, but the actual condition, I'd be very happy.
Yeah, 100%. I mean,
with that level of muscularity as well, when he's still a kid, really. How is he?
Yeah.
Like
23.
23, yeah.
A junior.
Nuts. Yeah, nuts. I mean, this is how I use, like, what I've been trying to frame it as in my head. If you stuck him in, say, a UK show,
Yep.
a show or something, where would he stack?
Yeah, it's you can't say really, but it's difficult because the standard of most regionals across the US aren't as good, especially early doors in the year. It's why the Arnold USA amateur show is always fairly shit.
No, 100%. I think that's the thing, because the UK, not that the UK standard is like will blow the US standard out of the water necessarily, but we are known for, as a hallmark for, at the amateur level, being a lot more intense. I think a lot more full on and much more like locked in terms of what we're doing, and tend to have better competitors as a result across the board.
Yeah, I think that the lineup depth in the UK from first to 10th tends to be better than that in the States. There may be a standout competitor, but across the board, it tends to be, I think everyone's a little bit of a higher quality across the board. Look at the brain rot. Look at the brain rot.
Quality brain rot. Love it. I mean, yeah, more front on. Obviously he's winning that lineup. Obviously.
Yeah.
Like that.
But it's good because obviously everyone's just talking like he's a hype job. He's just an entertainer and whatnot. He's a very good potential for a young bodybuilder.
100%.
He's just a kid who's just done this on his own.
Yeah. He's just like, you know what? Let's see what
very much
see what
pressure. Like, he knew getting on stage. That's why he didn't announce it till like 5 days out, was it? He was doing a show.
Yeah.
Maybe on, but like, and look at how many people have exploded about it. I think. Well, it's number one. The tan in the US is typically not.
Yeah.
And I just think it just weren't peaked fantastically. It's okay. It's just a bit fat.
Yeah.
But in terms of a physique, very good.
Arguably, I mean, I know some people out there might be like, "Oh yeah, for your first show, don't do anything too drastic. Just fucking eat a little bit more and get on stage and see what the look is. Then, figure out a peak approach from there." Like,
that is true.
Yeah, he looks fucking good. He does look good. It will be very interesting to see then at the Arnold how
in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
it's a whole nother ball game.
I think someone will help him peak for the Arnold. I think it'll probably come out within the next couple of days.
I hope so.
I would assume so.
I do hope so. But yeah, if he's on and if he keeps improving, fucking A, yeah, fair play.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. Very, very good. Right, enough of that. So, in terms of competing plans then for the year. So, Derek may or may not be competing.
Yeah, really depends. So tempted.
Depends if the response to the growth hormone continues.
Yeah,
Depends if he hits 110 or not in the next 2 weeks.
It just depends how quick you get to 110, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just how quick it happens.
It's wild.
Yeah. I'm hoping sooner rather than later, so you can 110,
115, something like that.
Yeah. Because I would actually quite like to be in shape with you around the same time this year, because I think it'd be really cool to get in some photos
When's your show again? Like June, July,
So yeah, I'll be in
September.
shape until the back end of the year because I'll be
Oh,
doing
okay.
debut and shit like that, which is obviously
Right,
my
right.
time. So, and then maybe I'll do natty sort of two brosy shit as well. We'll see.
Yeah.
Two
Ooh,
minds about that
okay.
sort of stuff at the moment.
Ooh, don't tempt me, man. Don't tempt me.
Hopefully not natty two bros. That would
Gonna come off for 2 weeks beforehand and destroy me.
Be all right. Fast acting, bro. Fast acting. All good.
good. Ryan, do you have any people that you're getting on stage this year that you're particularly excited for?
Can I have a
Yeah,
look at?
I've a fair few getting on. I've got Ian going back on. He's doing I want to say like natty shows around September, where
Pull them up. Pull
the
them up.
near the nearest PCA to the the Heart of England one, Jermaine.
Hmm.
He'll probably do a couple like that. We haven't picked a actual show out yet, I don't think. He's not starting prep just yet. He commit_2, the number 2. There we go. Commit to be. Oh,
Yeah, got it.
there we go.
Shooting bro a follow.
Oh yeah, I know this guy. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, bro. That's why it's like on the. That was when he come third at the UKDFBA. He was meant to do novice, yeah, and then they like weighed him and heighted him and just stuck him in the heavies. And his first like run as a bodybuilding season, he did really well, man. But he
How
gets
much
in
does he
shape.
weigh?
At the minute he's
Heavies there.
about 220, but that's in his off season, Nick. I think he got down to around, I'll say 180.
Interesting. Interesting. I wonder why they stuck him in that class then.
I don't know. They just weighed him in and heighted him in when he did novice, and then stuck him in heavies.
Interesting. I've
Which
never done novice UKDFBA, so I couldn't say why they would have done that. I know because I think what is the heavy cutoff for UKDFBA? I know it's tall. They do it by tall, don't they? It's by height, not weight. I think
Hmm.
necessarily. So they'll have heighted him in a X
Mm.
like 6 foot plus or whatever. I'm assuming he's quite tall.
He's like 5'10", 5'11".
Okay, yeah, so he's
Yeah.
on the mark for that. And
Yeah.
interesting.
But yeah, he's stuck a lot of mass on, man, because he's only had 1 year out. And he gets in shape pretty quickly. Like he's a natty that could do a prep in like 14 weeks or so. But I think it'll probably be like 22-ish or something until the first. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. He looks big in his off season at the minute. It's like, yeah, we've got some body fat on, but like it's big. That
Oh yeah,
well, that was
March last year. Jesus.
yeah. There's that one in the EP posing ring. It looks like a tank.
that chest looked so massively improved.
Yeah, because that is his main thing, just like chest. Because the muscle belly is a real nice man. He's got really round hamstrings, long glutes.
Yeah.
He was just
You know what?
bringing everything
It
along with it.
reminds me massively of like my heavy push-ups that I used to do. Where like yeah, you could still see the shape underneath.
Mm.
And that's always a good sign, right? As long as you can still see the shape.
He's also like he works in like clinical trials in the NHS. So he's at work at like 7 a.m. He's got 2 kids and a family. He's like is just very good at this.
Wow.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, he's good. You can still look at his hamstrings here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'll put him into a deficit. He'll probably lose like 7 or 8 pounds. And I'm like, oh, this is moving quite quickly. Yeah, I've got him. I've got a maybe like 7 or 8 people on prep already at the minute.
Yeah.
I've got a couple from the US that go in. They look like real good. It looks like the Whitefield Heath is that round. It's so crazy.
Do we have an Instagram? I want to see that. I want to see the one.
Yeah, he's called, I think it's Large Lord for Fauntleroy. So, one clients have mad handles. What the hell? There we go.
My God. What
Oh,
is
he's
this?
like, well,
I love it. I love it.
he's just got like, yeah, the muscle bellies are really pleasing. He's a first timer as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's going to do like first timers class or like true novice or whatever it is in the NPC. His wife's competing as well. She's on private, but she's also really good. They're both first timers. Yeah, I got a fair few going this season already. I got Chloe and Dan as well. They're doing PCA Saxon. Chloe looks good at the minute, and Dan's one of them people that are just like peeled year round. Could do literally a prep in like 6 weeks if he wanted to.
Mad. Mad. His arms.
Yeah, they're just like so gnarly, man. It's like it's really deceiving though as well because we start prep and he's got like croissant triceps already and striped glutes. Yeah.
Just one of those people that has a weird body fat distribution.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, that's the thing because he does look like at face value, obviously in clothes, just him doing exercise. I'm like, yeah, he looks close.
Yeah.
Not far
We-
out.
We've not. I think we've probably got maybe 10 pounds. It'll be more than that to his flattest point, but maybe like 10 true pounds, and he's like, yeah, in and peeled.
hmm
Nice. Really good stuff. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
We all want to know really when Joe's getting on stage.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Big question, man. Big question.
So I got a big coaching season coming up this year with three, potentially four on stage multiple times. Once the majority of the bulk of that is done and out of the way, like I finally want to get on stage about October, November time.
Oh, this year?
Yeah. If
Yes.
it's not October, November this year, it'll be early next year. But I have October, November in mind this year. I'm 91 kilos at the minute, and that's after having a week of eating about one meal a day. Um, so I'm not too bad. So, and we'll see. But yeah, again, I'm just excited for the year as a whole. I think that'd be a nice way to round it out. So,
Yeah, for sure.
you know,
Let's
so
just all compete together.
yeah,
Let's do
I want to get on stage with
it.
the boys.
We should all just do like a mad IBFA show or something like that at the end of the year.
yeah.
Yeah.
The West show. And a NABA show.
Yeah, it's back actually. Never is back, so you know, yeah.
Could do
As
something.
long as, long as it's good lighting, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to do something like that. That'd be jokes. Or
Yeah.
just even a group photo shoot, just all peeled out of goddamn minds.
In the sauna. Come on.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. How is everything going in terms of coaching stuff for you, Derek? In terms of the posing stuff, and how's everyone coming in?
At the moment is still kind of just like helping out with some people in the gym that come to me. Um, and then the rest is just like I'm doing PT stuff as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just I think just need to promote it more. And obviously I'm not as well known like as a posing coach like Ryan
Mhm.
is. So probably need some more time to build it up as well.
One. We're back. Where were we? Derek, posing clients.
Posing clients, yeah, it's just mainly just helping out with the people from the gym that I'm at right now. Yeah, I just need to promote more, get my name out there. That's it.
What is because I know you've been obviously working with Cruz and a few other people. What's
Yeah.
where are you still doing some posing classes things with those sort of caliber of guys, or what's the sitch?
Yeah, just those lots at the moment. There's no one that's come to me at the moment. Didn't repost that much in the past week. So just need to be more consistent, really.
That is the name of the game, isn't it? It's being
Yeah,
consistent with
Yeah.
content.
yeah, just like constantly posting.
That's the
we-
rat race I hate doing as well. Like,
Yeah, it's a bit of a like it gets a little bit boring, but like people, there's still a lot of people who don't know a lot of those stuff. Like you see Daniel Coffin, is it Coffin? second name. Post a lot
Yeah,
of stuff, and yeah, CB Fitness. Mostly the American guys post a lot, but like in UK at the moment, Classic Physique probably what this is just not that many people post like posting contents really. Like Ryan stopped posting a lot of those things. Leon doesn't really post it, and then John Loftus does a little bit, and then Sammy doesn't really post that much.
Mm.
But like obviously Ryan, Leon, Sammy, John, these are the really big names for posting coach in the UK. People just go to them straight away.
How do you find, because obviously, Ryan, you're obviously like way further ahead in terms of like the coaching journey, as it were, right? How do you find like the industry has changed in the past sort of like 10 years potentially? Like what's the big difference now versus back then?
it's not it's not even the past 10, it's like the past two.
Yeah.
Like it's everything is, God, I sound like an old fart. Everything is so dopamine driven of what people consume on their phone. They're like, even with your content, Derek, even if you've already posted about a certain pose or a certain cue, just do that again or in a different
Mm,
format of just a post talking about it.
yeah,
Um, because a lot of people won't see it. Um,
yeah.
it's just like you look at, there's a lot of people and posing coaches that post a lot, and I frequently say to Sammy, like, that's wrong. Like, what they're saying is actually wrong. Like, they're talking about a certain muscle that's being flexed, and that's not true. Like, they're just the loudest about it, and it gets seen the
Mm,
most.
Mm.
And even though that thing might be wrong, they might help someone with a different cue. Do you get what I mean? So then they think they're good, or they
yeah,
sign because they genuinely do help them in the end. And I think it's literally just about being seen, isn't it? The most. It's like
yeah,
have a good track record, be a good coach, so you can get results.
Yeah.
But new eyes in, you just need to be seen.
100%.
I'm quite lucky with like posing and the fact that I don't ever really need to push it. I think because I coach full time, it's not like I'm like dependent on that for my business. You get what I mean? It's just something I like doing, and I'm good at
Yeah,
teaching. So I've never like had to like complete like consistently post about that. Like if I didn't push it or anything, I'd have like Tim or Christian or the people like that send me people through the season, or people pick back up, and then like before you know, like someone buys like 4 session blocks off you and stuff. So it's always there in the background kind of thing.
mm,
I don't pose that many guys. I think, well, peak season it might be like 4 or 5 a week or something like that. But now it's maybe like one a week or two a week max going into the season. Um, yeah, I think it's just being seen as much as you can.
For reference,
mhm.
for anyone listening, what what classes are you doing posing for? Is it just men's classes, or is it any particular class that you're honed in on? Classic,
Yeah,
XYZ?
I do all men's classes, so like open bodybuilding, classic bodybuilding, and classic physique. I do men's physique as well. I can teach men's physique as well. With female classes, I would not be comfortable teaching a girl from scratch with stuff, just because, like you all know, Derek, there's so many things that we've discovered in our own posing, or when you've helped someone else as a classic competitor or something, that you then pick that cue up. I haven't experienced those. So, like for
Yeah,
instance, Chloe, who's competing, she's going to Hannah Bowden for posing at the minute. I'll be able to look over Chloe's stuff of, say, I don't know, like a front double or something, and tell her to change a cue or tell her to look for this. But to teach women from scratch, I don't really do.
mm. Yeah. I just do men's uh category as well. Like, mm. Female is quite different. Like in terms of like they have to be wearing heels on stage as well, so it's hard.
Yeah. So I know with one of my clients last year with Fausta, she went to Sanaya and helped her out massively. So obviously we have, because we don't do that style of posing in any capacity, we have a certain predisposition to weigh. We always want to show as much muscle as we want and as we can in every single pose, no matter if you do men's physique, classic physique, or bodybuilding. We always want to show muscularity, but that for them, it's kind of not the purpose, which is
Yeah.
weird because it's muscle contest. But it, for us, I think as men, we always instinctively want to show what we are rewarded for. So
Yeah.
if we instill that into especially with a first time female competitor, it's going to be hard for them to gravitate away from that. So all the time, I always send them to a established, woman who's more than happy to help and is very, very good poser themselves, because they get less freedom as well. So they get less chance to show their personality through their posing. It is more about hitting shots to fit the criteria, which is a bit shit in my opinion. But it is what it is, isn't it?
That's very much the case with me right now, because obviously Imi, my girlfriend, she's competing for the first time this year, and yes, Hannah's doing her posing, and she's doing it from scratch. And initially, sure, I was like, yeah, I roughly know how to show you the rough silhouette,
Yeah,
side, front, and rear poses, but there's so much fucking nuance to it, especially in transition. There's no way I'm going to be able to pick up on that stuff.
Like,
and even with like Jake, who's he's going to be doing first time as men's physique next year, junior. He's like 20 odd years old. I'm not confident myself in knowing all the ins and outs of men's physique posing, because it's just not my class. I've never done it. Hence why I then sent him to Kez, because I feel much more confident having someone else who I know is a good coach for posing, teach him how to do it. Because even though it is a male class and I know the rough posing outline and how you should pose and what they're looking for, I just don't know how to make it like clean. Like it's the smoothness to the transitions and the posing that matters a lot.
I think that goes into that. It's men's physique, not to bunch them into female classes, but like how females would show their personality is through the femininity and the way they move through the poses, and men's physique, how polished it is as well, is through how sleek you move through stuff, hitting shots where everything is flexed without looking like you're flexing, kind of thing. I think it is the actual movement and the detail rather than the front on cues.
100%.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Whereas obviously bodybuilding class, like flat out bodybuilding class, that's not too difficult.
No.
If you've done a fair few seasons and you are coaching, you should realistically know how to teach bodybuilding posing, I think.
Yeah.
Just as an expectation. It helps to have like posing classes still off the back of that, but I like to think that is sort of the bread and butter, like where I should know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, posing's a whole different boy. It's funny as well. It feels like the posing coaching industry has like exploded in the past few years. Like that's become its own thing entirely. Like it's taken on a life of its own.
And that's what you've seen as well. Like a lot of people who, to be fair, when you look at Stewie is a good example because he's very young. Through working with Dan and a couple of other people, he's put a lot of clients on stage, but he's just rocketed into like having a lot of posing clients from just posting straight away before he had a lot of people on stage, before he's been on stage himself. And that is like how to get ahead of the curve. And like people can be bitter about it, but it's like, well, are they just doing something that's picking up more people than you? Like, what would happen if you?
And they're doing well, so it doesn't really matter. It'd be different if they're doing all this and then they get no results on stage, because then you're just proving the point that you just don't know what you're talking about. But if people are doing well, then you can't really be bitter about it,
That's the funny thing. So, like, I feel like with just bodybuilding in general in the coach capacity, you're either good or you're not, and there's not really anything you can do to hide that.
Eventually, like, there's a lot of that. There's like, eventually you'll get found out if you don't know what you're doing and you're putting people on stage or in dangerous positions or anything like that. Eventually, like, someone is going to be like, hey, like, this person's fucking people up.
Yep.
Yeah.
You've seen it happen so many times.
Yeah.
I think a lot of you guys have probably had, Brian, I can imagine, has had it a lot. I've already had it in my limited coaching experience. I've only been actively coaching for a year, like in a more official capacity. But the amount of people who come to you saying, "Oh, I've had XYZ experience with a coach, named or unnamed," and you're just sat there in the consultation, just like just listening.
Well, I'll share this story. So, I went through a consultation with someone he's not my client at this point, but we're looking at starting together after Ramadan, and So he's from Kuwait, and the conception of drug use in the Middle East is fucking wild. Yeah, is the easiest and most simple way I can explain it. So just unnecessary drug use, first of all, from drug choice. No thought process behind application at this point. Um, and the individual's understanding of what they're doing is so limited, firstly,
Yeah.
that they don't have a clue that what they're doing is more than it's more than competitive. It's not a competitor, by the way. It's more than high level, highly muscular competitive athletes. Um, like it's fucking wild, man. And they'll still split a 12-week cycle into 3 mini cycles for no fucking reason. You know?
You got to kickstart.
Yeah. Yeah. Got a kickstart with Superdrol, apparently. You know. So, you know. But yeah, just wild. Wild.
You see it a lot. I haven't came across that many clients coming to me being on outrageous cycles. There's maybe been like the odd compound or two where it's like
Mm-hmm.
you or
Why?
something. There's just
Yeah.
no reason to use that. Um, most of it comes from like they'll maybe come to me halfway through a prep and need the prep rescuing or something like this, and they've just the prep has probably not been periodized well by the coach. They've probably like not recognized like where to push, when to pull, how much is to come off, and they're feeling like shit by the back end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Also like I would I would also take what a new client says with a pinch of salt. Because there is plenty of like shite out there, plenty of like, and you'll be able to tell from the coach, right, how like disorganized they are with their life or like with their
Mm-hmm.
clients or anything like that. Whether they're actually like, dropping the ball with their clients and stuff typically.
Yeah.
But there's a few times where like you'll have a client like moan about a past coach or something, and then you're like, okay, you mention it to someone, they're like, oh, they were with such and such 6 months ago. You're like, oh, okay. Well, that's not the coach they were just telling me about. And it's yeah, there's a lot of kind of that. Um, and I think as well, like you'll be able to tell within the first month or two when the client's with you, the type of questions they're asking or pushing or questioning what you're doing. Because there's asking like, oh, how come this is in? Like, what's the process behind
Yeah.
this? Or like, oh, why we're not doing this? That, now I see what the problem was. You're like,
Yeah, you don't
probably
want
shit.
you don't want to be coached. You don't
Yeah,
want
or
to be coached. You want positive reinforcement.
yeah, or
Yeah.
That's it.
you led the coach to a decision where you wanted to do
Yep.
something. You told
Yep.
them to. That was like what your heart was set on, and it didn't work
Yep.
out. Pissed off
Yeah.
at them. Like, there's a lot of that.
I've had that a few times myself, like at the very start of last year when I started working with some of the clients I was working with. Entirely, that was something that that was a pitfall for me of being like
Yeah.
too quickly saying, yeah, sure, okay, let's do that. Because
Yeah.
it's all those things where you have in your head that as a coach, like, oh, optimal is only optimal if the client's actually going to do something consistently long term.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right? But on the flip side of that, there is a line, like very clearly, like some things are just fucking dumb. You shouldn't do them. Like they're just not. It's not helpful, and it's being able to stick your foot down in the sand and go, yeah,
Yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
doing that.
I'm pretty lax as a coach with that. Like I'm not set or married to a certain, protocol or training regime or anything like this. But it's if someone's flippant with it, or it's like, okay, well, you've got 5 or 6 years training under your belt. Cool. Like, what did you do before that makes you think like this is gonna like you? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're more likely to progress doing this kind of thing, or are you just a bit dubious because I've suggested you've not tried it this way yet? Um, I think it's tough conversations to have, man. I've had proper fallouts with clients, and the fallout might last a while, but in the end, like whenever they're out of that phase, and they're like, yeah, you know what, actually, thank you. I was glad I listened to you there. Or maybe they didn't listen to you, and they come back and they're like, yeah, okay, let's try it.
Yeah, no. That's a question for you actually, Ryan. So like obviously there is the whole phenomenon of like coach hopping and going to and from like 3 or 4 coaches in a year. You see shit like that, right? At what point do you feel that a client or someone should feel validated in not being with a coach or going to another coach or trying a new approach with another coach? At what point do you think you get to that? Like, is there a certain point that's like a hopping off step? sort of thing, or what do you think?
I think it's if you don't align with the coach anymore. Like, and you've got to be like pretty mature to see that rather than just spitting your dummy out. Like, I don't want to do it this way. Do you get what I mean?
Mm,
Like, and it's usually more like, if the coach, if it feels like they're maybe losing interest or they're maybe stuck doing something one way and they'll only do it that way with all their clients or something like this.
Hmm.
Or maybe they've done something that worked with you a year ago and
yeah.
it's not going well now, and they just won't go back to that, or they won't like revisit a route kind of thing.
Mm,
And there's also like what can you learn from a coach as well? Like if you don't see them as an authoritative figure anymore, then it is okay to change and move on. But I think like you'll know if you are that at that point as a client, if anyone's listening, because you'll be able to have the mature conversation with your coach and be
Hmm.
like, hey, I really like want to, and it's not going to be like, hey man, I really want to try this training split, and so I'm going to go off and do this or do my own thing or whatever. But like, it might be that you saw how a certain coaches prepped athletes or stuck a lot of muscle on a lot of athletes across an off season, and you just like you're not learning things from your check-in, and it's felt
mm.
like that for a while. I think that is a good indicator.
Interesting. Yeah. Is that like a thing that should always be part and parcel, do you think, with coaching? Because there's like an aspect of like like I like to approach what I do with my clients as very much like a teacher, right? Like I like to try and give info and try
Yeah.
and keep people sort of aware of like almost the decision making process that I'm going through. Um, do you think there's also like an instance of it being like, do you tell them XYZ thing or do you leave it for now? Like,
No, I think I have quite verbal diarrhea with stuff like that. I almost want
yeah,
to make sure that they're like, if their check-in should be like 2 minutes, it's probably 5 minutes, and I've probably rambled off about, okay, well, this is why I'm doing this, because over the next 3 weeks I want
Yeah.
to look at doing this kind of thing. I
mm,
always do try and do that. Um, yeah, I don't think it's a problem to do that. I wouldn't really gatekeep information. I think it's more of like, if because as you go through bodybuilding journey, like if you are just a client, not a coach, you should learn from your coach like why you do things. Like your coach should explain why things are getting done,
Yep.
and you should piece together that. And I think if the pieces of the puzzle you're like, and like you've been on the circuit a few years or something, you might like do things a bit more intelligently than your current coach. And you're like, "Mm, I know that actually works, and it doesn't just work for me. I know that that's actually probably a more sensible decision in terms of like the timeline that we're going to do, or I don't know, even like your training split or something like that. Um,
Hmm.
I don't think you always have to be. You do have to be on the same page as your coach, but they have to be like you have to work gel well as a team. Like me
Yeah.
and
I
me
think
and
that.
Joe are on pretty different. Like my coach Joe are on pretty different kind of pages with training. Sometimes where like I fucking absolutely hate low volume training. I hate it. I cannot stand it. I think it's just the most stupid. Like I understand of trying to stimulate muscle with as little muscle damage as possible, therefore as little volume as possible. But I fucking hate it. And every time I train like it, I get injured or I get like niggles or anything like this. I would rather do 4 sets of exercises than do that. And I think like Joe's like he recognized that and like can change things for me. But like yeah, there'll come a point with people where you'll probably yeah, you'll just naturally know, and you'll know if you're mature enough because you'll have the conversation. You'll be able to have the conversation.
mm,
Yeah, I think having so I think a sign for a good relationship and a good working relationship between a coach and a client is when you've had a season and you've had an off season, and then you come back around to do a season. So it can be very difficult for someone to gauge fully how somebody operates if they've only been with them in a prep setting, because people tend to be more on it. They tend to be more, you know, just willing to commit when there's a prep. Whereas in the off season, they'll tend to be a bit more lackadaisical. They'll be a little bit more reserved or passive, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to the coaching aspect, when it comes to training, I have less input with my athletes in their off season because there's a certain level of enjoyment factor I want them to have within their training. Um, and in my experience so far, it's worked very well with the people that I've had the opportunity to work with. Doesn't mean it's going to work the best with everyone, but I think as a coach, if you've had the majority of control in an off season going into a prep, there's less likelihood for things to go wrong as well.
Yeah.
Because there's more things under our control, right? You pushed up to hopefully a high calorie intake. I personally, with my athletes, like to use less drugs in an off season than I do on the prep in terms of drug choice, total dosage. It's just the way I like to operate because I like to use calories and lack of expenditure as the two facilitators to grow the most amount of tissue, and use drugs as more of a muscle conservation. Use the drugs when you don't have the opportunity to use food and intensity in terms of how strong you are and whatnot with your training as as tools to maintain or build muscle. That's my personal preference. I also think an issue can come in where if someone's had a complete change around from their off season to their prep, and you start throwing in shit tons of new ideas or theories or approaches with someone where they've gone from super low volume, high drugs in an off season, there's a lot of food, and then you go into a prep and you blasted them full of high volume, you've maintained a certain level of use of supplements, you've dropped the food really low. There's just too many things to keep track of. That's obviously using extremes as an example because it's easier to talk about, but for the most part, having the opportunity to work through an off season and a contest prep with someone, to me, will yield a much greater result than just helping someone out for 12, 20 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a good few examples of it's good examples of people that came on board, like Luke that did the British last year. He's fucking stacked, man. He came to me 10 weeks out of prep, and we're like, yeah, we've got a bit of work to do, but we've got him like peeled. He really surprised me how well he adopted that on the way out because he's not missed a beat. And as a result, he's 5'4" and he's 20 kilos up in 17 weeks from it. And it's literally like perfect. He's still like got box glutes. Like there's not many people that can do that. I'm a bit different in terms of like my training in my input in their training in the off season. I'll have more because like you said, when you've worked with someone in off season, then a prep, you've ironed out all the creases, you've found out the enjoyment factor, you've brought up areas and assessed everything. So that in prep, it's like the blueprint's already there to go from. And then I think as well, like, when people come down in prep, there's some things I think are very, very useful in keeping a certain function or a certain movement in. For instance, a form of split squat or a form of, like action, like all the way through. But they're like as their body weight comes down, you're like, okay, is it a better idea to sub and leave that up to them on the neck? Like as long as you're not pulling out, then
that's what is pretty much what I mean. So they'll have rather than in the prep, they'll have base level of exercises for each session. They'll have their volume, they'll have their set parameter pretty much for certain exercises. If they're doing an intensifier, they'll have it. In the off season, it will go from nautilus pullover to pullover / lat pull down movement of their choice. And then they can play around and utilize whatever machine they want to do that day, as long as there's a form of progression and sensation from that movement. That's fine for me.
Yeah.
So as long as the muscle is being worked, I'm very happy. But like you say, having that full control is great too.
See, this is interesting for me because I am still, because I am just that old fucking meathead in terms of mentality. I'm still doing a lot of that lower volume stuff that got really popular in sort of like height of JP era. Like I'm still two working sets, one working set on some movements, right? Which is.
But I have plenty of clients that will only train like that and that love training like that. Miles makes a great example. Miles is pulling like sets of 260 on a stiff leg, like during prep. I'm not gonna get him doing just stupid fluffy shit. Okay, we need build Miles' arms and top line a bit as we come through. What can we keep in there? Say he loves the priming climb press and the Nautilus explode press. We keep them in there as his lower volume stuff. And what else can we actually move up around it and see where is a little bit too much volume, or just see where the limit is with like
Hmm.
chest work, arm work kind of thing. And I think that's what I meant why you don't have to be on the same page principle wise as your coach, but
Yeah.
like you are on the same page because they'll understand and like treat you as an individual.
Hmm.
Sure. I'm sort of the opinion as well. Like just the way I built out my training now, even for this prep, because my first prep I did PPL, rest PPL, fucking annihilated me. Never doing that again. Horrendous. Way too much frequency, way too much volume. Fuck me up. Second prep, I did 4 days a week, and that was just basically legs, push, pull, accessory, and it was 2 on, 1 off. And that was great. But now, enjoyment wise, I just want to train more. I love training. I think in that 2022 prep, training for like basically 4 odd days a week, it just got fucking boring.
Yeah.
It really got boring for me and especially with a lower volume. So now it's sort of flipped the other way where I am now training 5 days a week on a week rotation, and like one of my sessions being essentially an upper session, like a top up session, and that is more fluffy. That is a lot more fluffy, but that's just that little bit of wiggle room of knowing this is a session that essentially, if I'm getting hammered on 1 week, I can drop out
Yeah.
like on a whim and it not impact the trajectory of my prep and whether I like lose tissue or whatever. That's quite a nice spot to be in as well. Like it sounds silly building a redundancy into a program, but again, it's like an enjoyment thing for me as well.
Yeah.
But it just becomes one with the deload, wouldn't it? Just the deload is just pulling back to some extent training volumes.
Yeah.
Like just
Exactly that. Yeah, it just streamlines that, makes it really simple to manage.
Hmm.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, we've got 8 minutes left.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
So we don't get cut off again. Is there anything you guys want to talk about, or any questions or anything from viewers, or anything you want to have a look at?
I think you guys got some questions.
I've got
none.
one. Again, Derek,
Mhm.
man, come on, bro.
My followers just like they forgot about bodybuilding for some reason, I think.
1 second.
Excellent.
I'll try and find it. It's been a few days since I put the post up, so
yeah, you put it up like a week ago, didn't you?
yeah. Right. Interesting. I don't know if Ryan's a connoisseur of this. Best flavor of Monster or energy drink. As people may or may not know, I do a long running series on my Instagram where I review popular and more obscure drinks and put myself at risk of heart attack, but it's okay.
I don't know, man. Old Reliable is good in it, the White Monster, but I, bro, I got rid of it. Everyone's gonna freak out like this. They got rid of it. The Ginger Beer Monster, that absolutely
Yeah.
banged.
That is nice. That is nice.
They replaced it with that shit Lewis Hamilton one, man. It's
It,
not.
it
Bring that
does
one back.
right. Does the Lewis Hamilton one just taste exactly the same as the peach one?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
like lemonade with a hint of peach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the like the pink one, the peach
It's
color
the
one,
same fucking
they're
thing
just
with a
shite.
slight
They
color.
don't
Yeah.
taste.
Yeah.
They just taste
No.
like you put like I don't
No.
know a bit of peach snaps in a white monster. It doesn't
Yeah.
taste good at all.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Yeah. I had the Ultra Fiesta one yesterday for the
Oh,
first time in fucking months, and it was actually really good. If it doesn't have the coloring in it, it doesn't taste that good. That's the theory now.
Has to be the coloring.
Yes. But it's not syrupy enough. It's not good.
here's a West choice that's not Monster.
Come on.
Joe might like this one because I think Joe's had this. The G Fuel,
Yeah.
the Crash Bandicoot one.
Yeah, it's good. It's very good.
Slaps. It's
Yeah.
so good. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
It's called
Wampa fruit.
What's it?
Wampa
Wampa
fruit.
fruit. Yeah,
Wampa fruit. Yeah.
yeah. That's
It
so
is very good.
So good. It's like it is
That's
genuine.
good.
It is
Strawberry Millions, Strawberry C4 Millions is very good.
No.
Oh, actually, oh fuck, it's not the C4. What's the one that's always in the US with the crazy flavors? The Sour
Ghost.
Patch or the Swedish Fish one?
The
They're
Ghost.
yeah,
Yeah. They're nice.
Oh,
yes.
Very
Bro, in
nice.
the US, they don't drink water.
No,
You just drink those. You're like,
no. But it's funny as well. In the States, they don't do pre-workout in the tub at all, anywhere in the gym. You will not get a single serve in a gym.
what?
Really?
They only do RTDs.
Brilliant. Good
Yeah.
now.
He's like, oh, can I have a pre-workout, please? Yeah, help yourself from the fridge. I'm like, is this it? 150 milligrams of caffeine. That's all you're giving me. This is fucking shit, man.
I think you
But
get Walmart, man. I had to because I took no supplements with me. I had to go to Walmart and get some fucking Chris Bumstead's secret stuff, the pump one or something like that.
yeah,
I had to
was it
get.
good?
It's not bad. You can get the glycerol powder with it as well.
Yeah.
Like that.
Love that.
Cool.
But have you ever had
Anything
like
you want to plug
raw...
before we finish?
Oh,
Go
God.
on.
No, I was going to
Go
say,
on.
have you ever had the raw glycerol powder?
Yes.
What?
Awful.
Does it dissolve in water? It's like
Awful.
non-soluble.
Awful.
And you try and mix it in, and then you're just drinking clumps of white powder on top of water.
It's weird. It
Oh,
doesn't even clump. It's like it has a film around it, and it turns into like
Yeah.
a full of glycerol and I think, yeah.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah.
insoluble. It's nuts.
It's like small balls of plastic.
It's like doing like a cinnamon challenge or something.
Yeah.
Are you trying to have your freeze?
Do you remember that shit? Cinnamon ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
oh God.
Remember all that? Fuck
Yeah,
hell.
Now I do feel old. Now I do.
Anyone want to
Yeah.
plug anything before we go?
Ryan.
Ryan_PhysiqueCollective on Instagram. Posing, coaching, competition prep, off season. Don't have to be compare, just like as long as you're, pretty high level lifestyle. Just as like if you train hard and you enjoy like a structure and you actually like want to get big or get shredded, then yeah, you're welcome on board. We've got to plug Derek as well. Derek's posing. We're saying it
Thank
just
you very
before
much.
our second call, but I said you've got what a lot of people can't teach or won't find, or some of the social media names don't have, and it's just being able to see like the perfect flow of a silhouette, how it should look in a pose, and not a lot of people have that.
Thank you.
Derek
Thank
is
you.
the artiste.
Much concur with that.
I want to become the flow master.
Plug yourself.
What was that?
Do you want to plug yourself, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Joe's a coach on Instagram. If you want to do stuff in person, I'm at Ultimate Fitness in Birmingham. And just inquire whenever you want. My WhatsApp is there, so just give me a message.
And for myself, Jermaine Sully, Onward Coaching. And yeah, that's everything, guys. Much appreciated. Thank you, Ryan, for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having me. Been fun.
Thanks
Yeah.
for coming.
This has been the longest call we've had on the podcast so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot to talk about. So yeah,
So,
good stuff. Right, guys. Thank you so much for listening and or watching the Swolemates podcast. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week with maybe another guest, maybe not. We'll see. And yeah, Ryan, thank you for coming on, and we'll see you guys soon.